What's good, everybody? We are back again for the Monday Night Raw after SummerSlam, the fallout of SummerSlam. And this was it was a good show, but leading up to the show, there was nothing that was announced for this card except for the big return of Big Cass. I tried to look up the card like a couple hours before the show just to see what matches we were going to have, but nothing was really announced. We had what, 3 or 4 matches on this card. I mean, it kind of felt like because they didn't announce the matches that they kind of just put these matches together last minute. I don't know. Um, but the matches that we got were pretty good for the most part. And we're gonna be going over the fallout of SummerSlam. They were in Des Moines for Monday Night Raw tonight, and to help me go over, Tommy's here. Toxic and Mr. Blood are out, but we're gonna still cover all things WWE Raw. How you feeling, Tommy?
Is it even picking up? There it
Yep.
goes. There it goes. So overall, show is pretty good. I'm feeling pretty good. Hell, tomorrow I'm seeing the goddamn brand new Spider-Man movie, so feeling damn good about that. But the show itself was fun. We got 5 matches in total. Those being Braun versus Joe Hendry, Roxanne and Soul, Javon and Paige, the random tag match that happened out of nowhere, and then the street fight. But here's the thing, unfortunately, I didn't see it, but Soto did post about it. This entire thing was leaked. Like, someone leaked what the entire show was going to end up being. There was no surprises whatsoever coming out of it. Like, I'm not sure where Soto saw the leak at, but the entire thing was leaked.
That's crazy. That kind of sucks, man. I didn't see no leak, so I wasn't ruined. I wasn't spoiled at all. I was kind of surprised by a lot of the things that we saw because now we're starting to have a better idea of what's next, what direction WWE is going with, because we got 3 major returns. So we got people coming back. Um, so it was good to see. It was interesting. A lot of stuff happened on this episode of Monday Night Raw that really stood out to me. For example, we're going to talk about the opening segment of Roman Reigns. We hear from him after his big match at SummerSlam after defeating Seth Rollins. And that's one of the questions that I had. Seth Rollins, he's out the way. Roman defeated him. What's next for Roman? And it was LA Knight. LA Knight came out and interrupted Roman Reigns in the opening segment of Roman's promo and basically told Roman, I want a title shot because last time me and you went at it, it wasn't really fair. But now, you're talking about doing everything on your own and not needing anyone. Well, why don't you give me a shot at the World Heavyweight Championship? And we can do this thing one-on-one with no bloodline if you really are about what you say. But Roman Reigns said, nah, bro, back of the line. You haven't done anything to deserve it. You haven't won any tournaments. You haven't won any big matches. Nah, bro, that's not how that works around here. So we're getting some idea of where Roman is leading to next, or who I should say, and also what LA Knight. I think we might actually get that match between Roman and LA Knight finally.
I wouldn't mind that, but here's the thing. Roman didn't tell any lies, and neither did LA Knight. LA Knight's entire thing was, hey, the last time you and I fought, it wasn't really one-on-one now, was it? In which it really wasn't, because that was back when Roman couldn't really have a single match without the bloodline interfering in some sort of capacity. So neither of them really told lies, and especially with Roman saying, hey, you have not done anything to deserve a title shot, which makes me think one thing. People are saying that backstage it's for Trick Williams to be one of the competitors for it. But I think Money in the Bank should 100% go to everybody saying L.A. Knight. Like, I still have this feeling like he's going to get his hands on the briefcase, and I think he's going after Roman if he does.
Well, don't hold your breath, Tommy, because we've been saying that every single year, it feels like, for like the past 3 years or something crazy like that. And it hasn't happened yet, but after seeing this promo between LA Knight and Roman Reigns, it was really good. They hit each other with some pretty good zingers there. So I want to see more of LA Knight and Roman Reigns, getting in each other's ways. There was a funny line where Roman said, "You're not a mega star because you're wearing like a cheap watch from Walmart. Like, look at my watch." And Roman shows his watch. Someone made a post about it. That watch that Roman Reigns had on that showed that he flashed to the camera, that's like a $500,000 watch, apparently. It's just like, Jesus Christ. But yeah, they took little jabs at each other like that, which popped the crowd big. I know I was really into it. So yeah, give me more promo battles between Roman and LA Knight. I definitely want to keep seeing that.
Plus, it seems like the references to the Shield is not stopping anytime soon because LA Knight was all over that. He brought up the Shield in a massive way, like even mocking the Shield entrance, like that very first like alphabetical stuff. He absolutely just went after that just to get into Roman's head to try and get him to give him that title shot.
All right, well, let's go to the opening match. Javon Evans wrestled Ethan Page for the first match of the night. And there's a lot of history between these two guys, Javon and Ethan Page. Two of our personal favorites. This is around the Intercontinental title scene. So both of these guys still have a lot to prove. Javon Evans, he's been in the main roster longer than Ethan Page, but both of these guys, you could say they still kind of feel fresh to the main roster. So it was a good match. Ethan Page tried to cheat a couple times, but kept getting caught by the referee, so it didn't work. It eventually backfired where Javon Evans was able to hit his OG cutter, and he got the win over Ethan Page on this episode of Monday Night Raw. But it doesn't stop there, because this is where we got the big return of Big Cass, the first return of the night, but the big return from Big Cass after so many years of being out of the WWE. Big Cass showed up and attacked Javon Evans, which later on we saw an interview where he said it wasn't personal. It was just after being gone for so long, Big Cass is there to stack bodies, and Javon Evans was just in the way. But this tells me a lot. Again, we go back to now we're starting to see some of this new direction WWE is taking after SummerSlam. Big Cass looks like he's going to be involved in the Intercontinental title scene, which I thought was great because, we weren't sure how they were going to bring in Big Cass. Is he going to be a heel? Is he going to be a babyface? Who are they going to put him up against? What is he going to be doing? Kind of like Baron Corbin. Baron Corbin showed up. They stuck him straight in the U.S. title scene. Big Cass shows up, and it looks like they're going to stick him straight in the Intercontinental title scene. But will he have the same success or maybe better than Baron Corbin? Baron Corbin just won the title right away. But it's a good start for Big Cass. I was pretty happy to see that.
We had a couple NXT runbacks with this. One of them being this one, the other one being Roxanne and Sol Ruca that was actually announced before the show a little bit. But Javon is as bouncy can be. He always has been. He always will be. That's just how he is. But I don't like the fact that Big Cass attacked Javon. I get it because Javon is like the biggest name that everybody loves in that Intercontinental title scene. But at the same time, we knew that Chad Gable was going to end up showing up later on in the show. We knew he was going to be here. to kind of have his little celebration for winning the Intercontinental title. So why not attack Chad Gable, who's the one holding the title, instead of attacking Javon? Like, that made no sense to me.
Could be because they just did it with Baron Corbin attacking Trick Williams. You know, the timing of it too. Chad Gable just came off his big one at SummerSlam. It would have been a dope, I guess, something cool to see. Holy shit. Big Cass just attacked Chad Gable. That would have been massive, right? But I think maybe it's just too soon. They don't want to put Chad Gable in a predicament like Big Cass, at least not yet. Eventually down the line, I would love to see it, but I think it's going to take some time. You pointed out something really interesting just now, Tommy. The fact that we had NXT callbacks, runbacks with Javon Evans versus Ethan Page, Sol Ruka versus Roxanne. We also saw in the main event Royce Keys. So this episode of Monday Night Raw felt like they were really focusing on their next up and coming stars. I mean, they even Obafemi cut a promo where we'll talk about that later, where he's talking about this new crop of talent, the future. Then Braun Breaker comes out, so it was really nice to see all of these up and coming and future stars of the WWE in these positions on this episode of Monday Night Raw. They're really planning for the future. That's what it felt like in this entire episode. All right, let's move on to, let's see, we're going to skip forward here because we had a bunch of backstage segments. We kind of already talked about Roman Reigns and LA Knight. Roman Reigns pretty much told the Bloodline, LA Knight is off limits. Don't touch him. I'll take care of him. Which that also leads me to believe that we're going to be seeing more of Roman Reigns and LA Knight, right? I think that's safe to say.
Yeah, it's safe to say, but of course, LA Knight just had to walk up to him and mock him like he is a master of, and just going, did I just hear someone say that y'all can't touch me? So, of course, he had to do that. And then they had a little bit of a face off between Jey Uso and LA Knight. And LA just goes, hey, be careful. You don't want your daddy to come back at you. So, Knight is just that type of guy where if you step up to him, you better be prepared for a talking too easily.
Yeah, in that same segment, LA Knight was leaving the arena, which is worth mentioning because that's going to come into play later on in the main event. And then we had another backstage segment right after that where Royce Keys and Jacob Fatu. Royce Keys, he tries to reason with Jacob and tell him, hey, no matter what happens between us, you're still my brother. We go way back. I still got your back. And then Jacob Fatu shuts him down, and he was like, nah, we ain't brothers. I'm loyal to the bloodline, and me and you are gonna fight in a street fight. And I'm like, really, bro? Okay. We'll talk about the main. It was the main event. It was a street fight between Royce Keys and Jacob Fatu, but I think this is the first time that we see them in a ring against each other, 1-on-1, and right off the bat, it's a street fight. I'm like, all right, why? But we'll get into that later on. What was your first initial thoughts when you heard this announcement, Tommy?
When I heard that announcement, my response was, oh, fucking course it is. Because knowing how that 6-man tag went on, I believe it was Saturday, it's just that. It's chaos. These 6 men were not holding back on each other. So, of course, if it was going to end up being any type of match between these two, it had to be a street fight.
All right, if you say so. I mean, a 1-on-1 would have been just fine, but whatever. We'll get into that later on. We saw Liv Morgan rocking a nice shiner on her left eye after her match with Io at SummerSlam. And Liv and Raquel Rodriguez are accompanying Roxanne Perez for her match. She's going to be facing Sol Ruca after the segment. But there was a lot of stuff that went down in this promo. Liv Morgan pointed out the fact that, well, after I defeated one of the greatest of all time, Io Sky, there's no one else left. Liv Morgan puts over Raquel Rodriguez, the new Intercontinental Champion, and then says, oh, calls Raquel her best friend, her sister. And then when it's time to put over Roxanne, she just refers to her as her prodigy, which is like, okay, so Raquel's getting all the flowers, but Roxanne seems like they're still kind of planting those seeds that Liv Morgan is just like belittling Roxanne Perez, right?
The cracks were going to form. It's just how it is. And here's my response to all of this. Do the implosion and do it soon. Because I want this to be the final implosion of the Judgment Day. I just want that entire group to be gone. But of course, she was going to put over the one with the title and then just give Roxanne Perez a crap ton of scraps with that, all because she is not holding a title, which again makes me wonder what's going to be next for Roxanne, because there's no other like women's singles title on Raw for her to go for.
Yeah, I mean, not everyone needs to have a title or be going after a title or needs to be chasing a title, you know? Um, we'll talk about Roxanne here more in a bit because she wrestled Sol Ruca. Roxanne versus Sol Ruca. And at first I was like, okay, so Sol Ruca is a former Intercontinental Champion. So it makes sense for Sol to be fighting Roxanne, right? But then during this match, I was thinking, man, are they going to set up Sol Ruca versus Liv Morgan? Is that why, Liv Morgan came out and was like, oh, there's no one else to step up to me anymore? But nah, it turned out to be something completely different. It was Becky Lynch and Stephanie Vaquer returned after this match. Who won this match, by the way, between Sol and Roxanne? I think it was Sol, right?
No, it was Roxanne Perez. No, it was Sol, and it was via disqualification because Liv got involved.
That's right. And the attack continued after the match. Becky Lynch's music hits, and she got a huge pop, which was funny because the last time we saw Liv Morgan, she was a heel. She was feuding with AJ Lee, but the people were really, really happy to see Becky Lynch return. And Becky Lynch confronts Liv Morgan and basically tells her what a lot of people are thinking. You're the worst champion of all time because I'm here to make sure you don't go another 100 days without defending that title. Boom. That's what a lot of people have been complaining about. And you're actually the worst champion of all time. Boom. That's another thing people have been complaining about. So, yeah, Becky Lynch was getting huge pops in this segment. It looks like she's going to be more like a tweener babyface role. And then Liv Morgan walks away, right? And as she's walking away, Stephanie Vaquer's music hits. Stephanie Vaquer comes after Liv. So Liv Morgan went from not having any competitors, no one stepping up to her, to two of the top women in the division, Becky Lynch and Stephanie Vaquer.
Yeah, this segment, Becky wasn't telling lies with it. She's just saying what the entirety of the IWC has been saying this entire fucking time. But there's one line that I absolutely love coming from Becky because she's very good at like dealing with quips, like really putting out really fast things going on. And she full blown tells tells Liv, you're not even the greatest in your own group. Hell, you're not even the greatest that Dominic Mysterio has even slept with. Which means she was absolutely referring to none other than let her heal quickly, Rhea Bloody Ripley, and basically putting her over. So that works absolutely perfectly. It was a perfect little quip there. But Stephanie Vaquer, about damn time. It really is. Because I will gladly say what I've been saying as soon as she hit that 100 days with 0 defenses. The entire reason why she wasn't defending it is because they were waiting for Stephanie Vaquer to be cleared and to come back so they could continue that feud. And here you go. Stephanie Vaquer is back, and we'll see where it goes from here.
Help me clarify and understand something, Tommy, because after this segment, there was a little commercial break, so I stepped out for a little bit, and I come back to people saying that Brock Lesnar can rest now and that he's retired. Apparently, they played a video package, and what? That's it? He's just gone? He's done? The Beast has officially retired after a video package?
So the video package was everything with Brock, but what you did not see, I don't think, was Obafemi walking up to Paul Heyman and saying, hey, the next time you see him, like, I never got the chance to do this. I never got the chance to thank him for everything he said about me, everything he said to me. I want you to thank him for me the next time you see him, and that Brock Lesnar can finally rest as I'm doing this with him in mind and with everything that he said. So there's that. And I think that at this point, I think we're all right that Brock Lesnar is officially gone unless he pulls exactly what he pulled before, which was, hey, I'm saying I'm retired. Wait, no, I'm not.
Yeah.
So I am severely hoping that that's not what's happening and that he is actually retired, because I don't think there's anything else that Brock Lesnar can do since his feud was with Obafemi in the entire time.
Okay, well, speaking of Obafemi, after that backstage segment with Paul Heyman, Obafemi goes to the ring. The ruler, the king of the ring of this year, 2026. After defeating Brock Lesnar, I'm thinking, finally, we're going to hear some answers. Obafemi's finally going to talk about what the fuck he's going to do with that king of the ring. He's owed a title shot. All right, so I'm watching, and he cuts a promo. It was a good promo, but we got absolutely nothing. He basically just talked about how him and Lesnar respect each other now. How Lesnar took him to the test and Oba proved that he can swim with the big sharks. And he also mentioned that, you know, he's going to take the torch that Brock Lesnar handed him and he's going to create his own pathway to becoming the best in this new crop of talent in the WWE. And that was pretty much it. Like, no mention of the King in the Ring or nothing, right? Did I miss something or what?
You didn't really miss it, which is what extremely confused me the entire time that this was going on until he got to the top of the ramp. I don't think he's holding, like, I don't think he's cashing in that crown yet. I think he's going to continue to hold it for a little bit and maybe cash it in on who everybody wants, at least everybody in the crowd at the post show for night 1 of SummerSlam. People want Obafemi versus CM Punk for the undisputed WWE title. That's what all of the fans were saying when Punk was out there, like, putting everybody over. That's who people were chanting for, was Obafemi and CM Punk to go one-on-one. And at that point, as much as I would love to see Obafemi versus Roman Reigns, I think Oba versus Punk would be even better. But we are going to have to wait for that, because I clearly think that next on Oba's chart is Braun Breaker, especially with the fact that later on in the show, we did get a backstage segment where Braun Breaker walked up to Paul Heyman and just full blown went, "Hey, I'm going to ask you one time. Where's Oba Femi? I'm dealing with him. Where is Oba?" And Paul Heyman's response was simple: "How am I supposed to know where Oba Femi is?" So it's very, very clear that we are getting good old Braun Breaker and Oba Femi at some point.
Well, that's fair. I would be down to see that, but also at the same time, it's like, all right, Oba, you put off your title shot that you were supposed to get at SummerSlam to fight Lesnar. That's over with, and now you're going to put it off again to fight Braun Breaker for what? So I don't know. We'll see what happens. Um, Braun Breaker wrestled Joe Hendry after that, but before the match, Oba and Braun Breaker had an intense stare down at the stage. And I mean intense, like freaking Braun Breaker was freaking staring like really hard at Oba. And that stare down, or that look Braun Breaker had in his eyes when staring down Oba, continued when the bell rang during this match versus Joe Hendry. And I love that. I love that they did that, because I was kind of feeling the same way, because okay, you have this big stare down, all right? Oba Femi, the guy that just defeated Lesnar, and Braun Breaker, the future of the company. These two guys are staring each other down. This could be the main event at a WrestleMania one day. And then the announcers go, Braun Breaker set to face Joe Hendry. And it's like, you go from face to face with Oba Femi, and then you're going to go wrestle Joe Hendry. So Braun Breaker, he's standing in the ring with his back turned to Joe Hendry, which was disrespectful as fuck. And he's still staring at the stage where Oba was standing when they were staring at each other. And his attention was on Oba. Like, he did not give a fuck about Joe Hendry. And then they go out to the ring. Austin Theory gets involved. Joe Hendry takes out Austin Theory. He goes back into the ring. And then Braun Breaker spears Joe Hendry 1, 2, 3. And it was like, Braun Breaker didn't even want to be there. He's like, man, fuck this, man. I'm just wasting my time here type thing, you know? But he just flat out beats Joe Hendry, and then he just walks away like, all right, I'm done. But all his attention was on Oba Femi.
The match was a very, very quick match, and I kind of expected it to be that quick. But the man I thought was going to show up did not show up, because the one man I thought was going to show up had issues with the Vision, I believe it was. Slightly. No, it was with Judgment Day. Never mind. But still, I still thought that Danhausen was going to show up, since it was Joe Hendry that came out and saved him from the Judgment Day. So I kind of thought he would show up, in which I also found out that last night a massive comedian was one of the Mini-Housens. Brad Williams was one of the Mini-Housens for that Human Money's on the Pole match. So I found that really, really funny. But I definitely thought that Danhausen was going to show up, and he just didn't. This was at max, I would say, like a 3-4 minute match, if that.
Less than that. But no, Danhausen didn't show up. The other clown did, Akira Tozawa. He showed up. Because Austin Theory continued to beat up on Joe Hendry. And then Akira Tozawa showed up and chased fucking Austin Theory away, which I thought was a little insane. Seeing Austin Theory get chased out by Akira Tozawa. But hey, to each their own, I guess. All right, what do we have after that?
Chad Gable promo.
Yes, the Intercontinental Champion, the new Intercontinental Champion, Chad Gable. He showed up in this episode of Monday Night Raw in full blown gear, like ready to fight. And I was like, huh? He just won the title last night. Is he really going to defend it like the day after? Like, just like that, huh? And he's cutting the promo where he thanks Penta and he especially thanks the fans for riding with him for over 10 years to finally become Intercontinental Champion, even through his time as Shorty G. Then Penta comes out to give him his flowers. Penta says, "You're a real luchador and you deserve it." And I'm just thinking, like, what is going on? Is Penta going to ask for a rematch? Because they're both dressed to fight. But no, they get interrupted by the Judgment Day. And I'm like, okay, now I'm seeing where this is going. And, typical WWE booking. This set up an impromptu tag team match. Chad and Penta face the Judgment Day.
Overall, Chad Gable did not tell any lies here. He really didn't. The entire crowd was behind him the entire time, except for his little stunt as El Grande Americano, in which Mexico hated it, the US loved it. It was fucking confusing at that point. But 10 years of Chad Gable, like, he said that, and it's like, yeah, it's been that long. I'm like, wow. It does not feel like Chad Gable, like, debuted 10 years ago. Like, it really doesn't. But here we are, 10 years later. But of course, Penta came out and go, hey, you are a true luchador. You really are. And then that is where good old Dom came out and went, hey, oh, wait. You're saying he's a true luchador? Then big old bobblehead JD McDonough had to come up and go, hey, you were unmasked as El Grande Americano, which means your time as a luchador entirely is done. And Penta, you just lost to Chad Gable. So what does that make you? So that's the question there. And there you go. The impromptu tag match in which we all knew was coming as soon as we saw these two men in gear.
Yeah, this is one of the reasons why it felt like the matches that were on this card were put together last minute, because this match was done on the fly in the ring. They were calling all the spots, like, not like more than usual. Like, sometimes you can hear them calling spots here and there, but no, like, Penta was calling this match the entire time, which kind of led me to believe, like, this was very last minute put together. Like, they had nothing planned. They just went out there and they just did the match. And even the finish was kind of, it just seemed like typical, let's just get a finish. Something that Dominic Mysterio would do. Dominic Mysterio, you're going to get the timekeeper hammer, and then the referee's going to find it, and then Penta's going to hit you with the belt, and that's going to be the finish. Chad Gable and Penta got the win. But I mean, I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I really like this match a whole lot because it didn't feel like it was super planned and choreographed. It felt like a wrestling match, like old school. Just go out there. They maybe had a finish and they're just calling the spots on the fly. I thought that matches like that are a lot more entertaining to me.
Yeah, it reminds me of, I believe it was Hogan and Rock or something like that, where Rock on his own show full blown said that his opponent at that time was like, hey, are we going to plan this out or are we going to call it on the fly? But Hogan wanted to call it out on the fly because that's how he was wrestling the entire time. So those matches seem to be better because they're not like pre-planned. They're not overly choreographed. Tiffany Stratton and Jade Cargill for the fucking 10th millionth time. But still, like, this match was great. It was a very scary spot for JD McDonough with that Mexican destroyer. I'm like, oh God, this man just landed right on his head. So that was the only spot where I was like terrified with.
All right. Well, now we got to talk about the main event. It was Jacob Fatu and Royce Keys street fight. And I'm really, really glad to see Royce Keys again in this position. He wrestled at SummerSlam, involved with huge stars. Now he's in the main event on a Monday Night Raw with Jacob Fatu, right? Great look. I still don't think this needed to be a street fight. I'm thinking, why would this be a street fight? The only reason why I see them doing this is because I was expecting to see a bunch of run-ins. I was expecting to see, maybe Solo show up or LA Knight, but then I remember that he left the arena earlier in the show. Maybe the Usos were going to show up and jump Royce Keys. I was expecting chaos, right? So maybe that's why they decided to do the street fight. But nah, man, like if this was just a one-on-one, this is their first match. I understand that they have history together. I understand that they go way back, right? But I mean, I want to see more of Jacob versus Royce Keys, and it seems like that's not going to happen because their first match, boom, street fight. And they have the kendos, the tables, like 30 chairs thrown in there, and it was it was a crazy hard hitting match, but I don't think I don't think this needed to be a street fight. Um, Jacob Fatu won this match by submission. He got the Tongan death grip on Royce Keys. And Jacob Fatu doesn't stop there. The attack continues and he completely flattens Royce Keys. No Solo, no LA Knight, no help, no assist, no friends for Royce Keys. And Jacob Fatu is left standing tall over a bloody, beat up Royce Keys.
This match, as soon as I heard street fight, was as brutal as I thought it was going to be, especially towards the end with that Tongan death grip. The show actually went a little bit over time. It was supposed to end like 2.5 hours. It went more like 2 hours and probably closer to 40. But still, this match took it a little bit over. And for good reason at this point. It was kick out after kick out after kick out. Even stuff that I didn't think would get kicked out of ended up getting kicked out of. But it's a street fight. This is basically Jacob Fatu's thing. This is Jacob Fatu's match at this point because he's just so damn good at it. I also thought that somebody was going to run in. I thought it was going to be Solo because LA Knight had left. But no Solo Sikoa at all. Even though it's very clear that Royce Keys and Solo still have that whole thing going on. That's kind of why I thought Solo was going to show up. But he was nowhere to be found. But it's safe to say that Royce Keys is written off for a bit. I mean, Tongan death grip to the point where this man was bleeding out the mouth. And then his head wrapped with a chair. And and Jacob ended up pulling out his inner Yokozuna and just wham. So, yeah, it's safe to say that to Adam Pearce's dismay, because he was trying to hold Jacob back for a bit, Royce Keys will not be around for a while.
Yeah, I also thought we were going to see Solo for sure because we got Jacob Fatu attacking Royce Keys after the match. The securities run out. Adam Pearce runs out, and they're trying to stop Jacob Fatu. Michael Cole is saying, somebody call the police. And, just seeing what the WWE has been doing with Solo, trying to get him over as a babyface, I was like, oh, man, they're going to try to get Solo to do the big save so Solo can get the big babyface pop, right? So he can come out and save Royce Keys, but nope, they didn't do that. It ended with Roman Reigns coming out and basically acknowledging Jacob and saying, giving him like the nod of approval, like, hey, good job. You took care of Royce Keys and you prove your loyalty to the bloodline. Because basically, Jacob Fatu proved that his only family, his only brothers are the bloodline. But one more thing before the show went off air, something really, really interesting. Rey Mysterio stops Roman Reigns and Gorilla and tells Roman, hey, Roman, you know I'm the general manager of AAA, right? And Roman's like, now I do. And Rey Mysterio's like, let me run something by you. And then Roman and Rey leave walking together. I mean, would it be crazy to see Roman Reigns show up in AAA? I would love to see that, man. But that's the tease that they left us hanging with before the show went off air.
And what a tease it was. Like, I didn't see that portion. I kind of went off as soon as the copyright stuff came up. I didn't see that portion. But if Roman shows up on AAA, Dom, you better count your days, because this man is not gonna hold back for anything. He's 100% going to go after that mega championship that Dom's got. So Dom better count his days as champion, because it ain't going to be many. It's absolutely going to be numbered if Roman Reigns decides to show up on AAA.
I mean, it's possible because Roman Reigns is going to be in Mexico in Triple Mania weekend. Because other than Triple Mania Night 1 is going to be in Vegas. Triple Mania Night 2 is going to be in Mexico City. But WWE is also doing a Friday Night SmackDown in Mexico and a Monday Night Raw. So the Monday Night Raw after Triple Mania is also going to be in Mexico, as well as a SmackDown before Triple Mania. And Roman Reigns is scheduled to be on the Monday Night Raw in Mexico City. So Roman is going to be in Mexico during Triple Mania. So I would not be surprised if he shows
up. If I
up.
remember correctly, that Raw and SmackDown may be a double recording.
No. It's on SmackDown is going to be on Friday and Raw is on Monday, the following Monday.
Okay. For some bizarre reason, I saw something about Roman being on a double recording. That there was one day that will be double recorded for some reason.
Well, because I know that they've been advertising, WWE has been advertising like the package deal for to get tickets for multiple events, the ones in Mexico in particular. Like you can go to Monday Night Raw, and let me check now. Let me see. WWE dates in Mexico City, September. I gotta know. September 2026. Okay, so all events take place in Arena, Mexico. Friday Night SmackDown, September 11th. Triple Mania Night 2 on Sunday, September 13th. And Monday Night Raw, September 14th. So yeah, it's all going to be recorded separately. At least for that weekend.
Okay, yeah, I must be confused with a different date then.
Yeah, you fucking threw me off. I was like, wait, what? No, it can't be. But yeah, Roman Reigns and AAA, what the fuck is going on? What world are we living in? That would be insane. I hope that happens. But overall, we did get a lot of answers on this Fallout episode of WWE Raw, the Fallout from SummerSlam. I really enjoyed it, just as much as I enjoyed covering it with you, Tommy. Thanks again for all of your input and information. I appreciate it. And we will see everyone on the next one. Take us home, Tommy.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was this Monday Night Raw review with the Snug Wrestling Podcast. You can catch us every Monday for Monday Night Raw directly after the show. Wednesday for next day review of NXT, and Sunday for good old Friday Night SmackDown review. There's also that Thursday one-on-one on TikTok Live with Snug and good old Mr. Blood as well. You can get your merch. That is at teepublic.com/snug_wrestling. That is teepublic.com/snug_wrestling. Stay safe, stay savage, and stay snug. And that was one time for the one time. 4 letters, one word. Yeet.